My name is Rahul Sharma. I've been in the corporate America for 20 years, transforming people, transforming leaders, and ensuring that people who wants to move to the next level, they take steady steps. It's all about taking steps. We all may be great individuals, but if we have to the next level, we have to work as one team. Before we get started, a quick note. The opinions expressed here are my own and those of my guest. This conversation is intended for informational and educational purposes only. Always seek expert guidance for your unique situation. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Climb, the Confident Leader podcast, where we share stories of leaders from being invisible to becoming an influencer. Today, I had a pleasure to have a very unique guest. The first time we are having someone with his background. He's a clinical pastor, a veteran speaker, and an author dedicated to helping individuals find peace and purpose through mental health strategies. Wow. He has developed the Order to Life, a self-healing system that combines practical tools for managing negative thoughts and reclaiming control of mind. With the decades of experience, our guest inspired transformation by guiding people to reconnect with themselves and the present moment. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to welcome Mr. Richard Waldman to our show. Hey, Richard, how are you doing today?
Excellent, Rahul. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this.
I'm glad that we were able to connect and we were able to have you here. For our audience, please share your leadership journey from beginning to what you have been doing today, my friend.
Oh boy, it's a lot of distance. I'm gonna have to be pretty quick, pretty fast on my feet here. Bottom line is, I've always been a science buff. And as I got involved, I say the human condition, I've always been intrigued by it. As one thing led to another, I was involved with professional education for a number of years. I say professional, meaning I dealt with creating CE, continuing education classes for three different industries: real estate, the stock brokerage, and as well as attorneys. And one thing led to another, and I started working closer and closer with individuals on various things. And then I found myself kind of, I'm here I am. So I'm coaching. I took a few courses, but I had a semblance of how I wanted to conduct myself and what I wanted to do in terms of being able to communicate and, being able to reveal why is it that we don't do what we know to do, Rahul. We're the only life form on the planet that destroys itself. Why is it we can be so extraordinary and at the same time confused, self-serving, and destructive? Well, those questions started popping up. And one thing I love about science, they love asking questions. Because when they answer a question, usually 5 more questions pop up. So I started getting in this mode and I thought, well, wait a minute here. We all suffer. We all suffer at different times and at different levels, everyone on the planet. And yet we have no idea of what is going on and why we are the only life form on the planet that destroys itself. So I thought, well, wait a minute. How involved, how difficult does this have to be? Meaning that we all suffer all the time. Surely we can figure this out. So I started thinking more about it. And various things start coming into being. One was psychologists will tell us that our self-image plays an important part in our lives. Jesus says you have to lose yourself in order to find yourself. So all these things were going on. And so I thought, well, wait a minute. Where does the image in our head of who we think we are, where does it come from? After all, I didn't create the image in my head of who I think I am, nor did anybody else. So it had to come from our brain. In addition, because I'm not responsible for that. And then other things started popping up, such as science says we have over 6,000 thoughts a day. Do we consciously take time out of our day to think up these thousands of thoughts? And what about those chaotic and nonsensical nighttime dreams? Are we
Mm-hmm.
involved with those? Did we create? Of course not.
Yeah.
Which speaks clearly to the fact that our brain has the ability to create on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which
Yep.
is why we suffer under the weight of hundreds of phobias and mental disorders that long to take us in the wrong direction. But here again, no one is talking about this. So
Absolutely.
I decided to, start peeling back the layers, getting involved.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I got to the point that, I need to define this. I need to be able to communicate this. And someone once said, Richard, whatever you do, make sure a fifth grader can understand it. So
Mm.
I came in with that thought, and I thought, Richard, see if we can put something together that will explain what is going on. As I got more involved, how do I say? I started with the story of Adam and Eve, which is probably the first story in the Old Testament, was about 3,700 years old. And
Mm-hmm.
that story pretty much tells me, well, not much, a lot of what we need to know.
Mm-hmm.
We're connected to what the Almighty, that's a universal connection. And then we're connected to that part of our personality that our brain created that longs to take us in the wrong direction.
Mm. Yep.
And from there, here, I'm going to bring up the orders to life right now, Rahul. So can you see it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to start inside of the circle. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The part that moves us forward. First, we have awareness, aware
Mm.
that our personality has
So
evolved. Go
just a
ahead.
minute.
Go
So
ahead.
so for our listeners, what Richard is talking about is the order to life framework that he has created that helps us to manage our thoughts. So yes, bring it back. Thank you, Richard, for
Okay.
sharing it. Yes.
And Raul, thank you, because you touched upon a very, very important part when you said manage, and I'll get
Mhm.
to that in just a moment.
Yeah.
Okay, number one, being aware that our personality has evolved in more than one direction.
Mhm.
Two, being present. The present moment is our point of power. The chatter in our head loves to take us into the future and beat us up with what if questions we can't answer. What if you lose your job? What if you can't pay your bills? What if, what if, what if? And when the chatter tires of beating us up in the future, it'll drag us into the past to remind us of all the stupid things that we've done and said. And we're not aware that the chatter's bouncing us back and forth between the future and the present. And we are unaware that our point of power is the present moment. The present moment and the chatter in our head cannot be at the same place at the same time. So in
Mm.
other words, and the next thing that follows is conscious choice. Thinking through what we might create for ourselves and others if we act upon our current thinking. And four, staying connected. Connected to what? If you bring out what is within you, what you bring out will save you.
Mm.
If you do not bring out what is within you, what you do not bring out will destroy you. So staying connected to what works. And then when we to move to that part of ourselves, that side of our personality that doesn't work, takes us outside of the circle
Mm.
where we have judgment. It's impossible to have
Mm.
a negative state of mind, Raul, without first being judgmental,
Mhm.
because our ego is judgmental by design. That's its nature, that
Mm.
works in conjunction with the chatter in our head that
Mm.
has the evidence, all the reasons why we're not good enough or smart enough to get what we want in life, and in the hope that we will react. And react we do, with the same kind of thinking that keeps us outside of the realm that moves us forward. And we're completely unaware of what works and what doesn't, because we've been educated to live through that side or that part of our personality that doesn't work. That's why we and the world, we're in trouble. Look at
Mm.
us. We're so dysfunctional, and it's time. I say it's been, well, it's been a long time to start having a different conversation, a new conversation that talks about these things, that talks about both sides of our person, that talks about what is going on. So now, for example, when I coach, And if people are having issues who are familiar with this strategy, the first question I would say, Raul, I understand what's going on. Tell me, what are you judging? What are you, well, I'm judging that if this happens and that, so the chatter in your head is what you're saying is taking you into the future, right? Yeah, because the thing that we want, the thing that we value, the thing that works, Raul, is peace, inner peace. It's the only state of mind that shares common ground with the universe.
Absolutely.
Jesus called it the kingdom of God. And, if you seek it, it'll be added to you. And what is added to us? Life itself. Because as long as we're judging and criticizing others, we're not living life. Judgment is a wedge that comes between us and the world around us. And see, our brain has a subliminal goal that we're not aware of, which is to keep us where we are, which is why we don't change. Adam and Eve were kicked out of the Garden of Eden for judging, blaming, hiding, and not being accountable. What's changed? Nothing. We're still judging, we're still blaming, we're still hiding, and we're still not accountable. And we wonder why life doesn't work.
I think you're bringing another good point where why people don't change. People don't change because they are told to change. If you see, people are excited for the change. People love new things, new house, new car, vacation to a new country. But the moment they are told to change, things fizzle out. So if you want to bring that change in you, make sure that that change is coming from within. When you tell yourselves to change, you can make magic happen.
Well, and the thing that makes it, as you said earlier, is managing that chatter in our head, because it's not who we are. We have not been that. This is not who we are. This is who our brain thinks we are. And our brain is a chaotic and nonsensical place. It doesn't always produce the right things. The brain, our greatest mental asset is our imagination. And our greatest, mental process is curiosity, being curious. And when we bring the two together, our imagination, with our curiosity, all kinds of wonderful things can start to happen.
It's all start with the mind. And the
Sure.
mind is, as you mentioned, those negative thoughts keep on coming.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way you can stop those thoughts unless and until you take conscious effort.
That's
It
right.
will not stop automatically.
No, you can't.
Think like, you switching the tap of a water, you switch it off, water will not come. You switch it on,
Yeah.
water will come. Unfortunately, we do not have that switch on and off button in our mind because those negative thoughts will keep on coming unless you divert those negative energy towards positivity. You read positive literature, you talk to positive people,
Right.
you surround yourself with positivity. That is only when you will start thinking positive.
Yeah.
I think there was one.
I just want to add one more thing to it, Raul. Over time, with a little practice, see, but you'll see it coming. You'll say, oh, wait a minute, here it comes. Here it comes the chatter telling me I can't do it. And you stop it right then and there. Once you understand this process, you now have command over your thinking. Now you are in charge because you know what's going on. You know what to expect. You've been down this road before. This is not new, but everything takes practice. Everything takes practice.
It is practice that makes progress. That's so well said. Now, Richard, if you can tell our audience what truly inspired you to create Brainiites and develop this better way of thinking?
It's a good question. I didn't know this, but I had an affinity for teaching. I was unaware of this. I majored in accounting in college and went and got involved, and it wasn't the right thing. And by chance, I happened to I bought a income property many years ago, and I wanted to get involved in real estate. And this is back when the financial calculators were coming out. Before then, we had what's called the Blue Book, and you had to look up factors to get to the payment. And anyway, a friend of mine who was a realtor, in fact, we were pretty close. He said, Richard, there's a calculator class coming up. It's being taught by a title company, and it's open to the public. I'm going to go. Would you want to come with me? I go, what? Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and he told me what kind of calculator to get, which I did. And I remember the night before, I get those little booklets, and I'm kind of looking at the booklet, trying to figure out what a payment would be, you know? So I'm playing with this thing. And the bottom line, the class was a 2-day class, 4 hours each day.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the class and went through it, and it was an outline, very systematic, very clear. And going through the class. Well, I went home that night and I'm started practicing. And then I noticed there was kind of a, how do I say, it could have been described in a simpler way, how to, do certain things. So the next day I went back and, we finished up the course and I approached the instructor and I thought, well, should I or should, well, I had to go talk to him. So I went up, very nice young man. And I mentioned with him and he looked at me and said, "You want a job?" I said, "What do you mean I want a job?" He says, "We're looking for somebody to teach this class."
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "What's your background?" I said, "Well, accounting." He says, "Accounting, you would be perfect." And one thing led to another. He says, "Well, no, the fellow that developed this class, he's not with us anymore. We had booked it. And so I was the next guy in line, so I'm here. But I'm not an instructor, and we're looking for someone. And would you be open to talking to our president? We're a small company."
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line, Raul, I did. One thing led to another. I thought, why not? Let's roll the dice. I got involved, and from there, I haven't looked back. And it's been, and then after I was teaching this, I got more involved with creating classes for the real estate community.
Mm-hmm.
I had a stockbroker call me up one day. He says, "Richard," and we used to use this as a selling tool, a marketing tool. In other words, we would go into those who could direct business to us and teach the class to develop that relationship. Exposure, comfort, relationships, business.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked. And so the stockbroker calls me up. He says, "Richard, I understand that you teach these calculator classes and you use them as a tool to develop relationships with those who can direct business to you. Is that right?" I said,
Mm-hmm.
"That's exactly right." Well, a realtor had told him about it. He says, "I would like to do that with attorneys." I says, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, we refer each other back and forth on retirement plans, but I can't walk into an attorney office and say, 'I want to meet you.'" And so he says, "Can we get together?" I said, "Sure." And we did. And sure enough, it's interesting because when I contacted the continuing education class for those in the financial community, it was very much like the real estate. And I had an semblance of, kind of what we needed. And the gal that was very helpful directed me, and it was and we covered something that I was very familiar with. So it was no problem to do this. Bottom line, we got it approved, and I helped them put the class together. What do you want to teach? What's important? What is it you want people to know about you and why you're all of these kinds of, and then I showed them how to teach the class and how to ask the questions. And actually, the first part of the class, I actually taught for him, and then I turned it over to him. And
Mm-hmm.
then a while later, then I had an attorney calls me up anyway on the reverse. "Hey, I understand, you do this and I want to get in touch with you." And so I got involved. And so anyway, it took off from there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did some coaching at a company and then I found myself directing this
Wow.
and it just kind of morphed into life coaching, getting involved with this, the brain, what works, what doesn't, moving us
Awesome.
forward, holding us back, all these kinds of things.
Very good. I think your story is very inspirational because what you have been sharing with us is how one thing leads to another. And all these things that you did, there was no relations. For example, your teaching, how you got into teaching line is completely different. So, listeners, don't just try to do things that you think is right. There
Hmm.
is a call from the God. There would be things that will come on your way. Just keep doing it without thinking how you will move forward. Yes, we need to keep doing things from the best interest, but make
Right.
sure that you will be able to reap the benefits. As Richard was talking about, how call from an attorney moved to this company, how call from that company moves to another business. So it's a circle. It
It's a
keeps on moving.
process. Everything's a process. Raul, can I share another quick tip with you?
Yes, yes.
Okay, hang on a second. I'm going to grab something here. Okay, this is some years ago, and this is when I lived in California. My website had what's called WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
which is an open, whatever. Anyway, so my WordPress guy was getting out of the business, and he didn't have anybody to refer me to. And I thought, well, gee, how do I get another, find another WordPress consultant? So the idea hit me. I thought, well, wait a minute. I went on what's called Meetup,
Mm-hmm.
and I typed in meetings for a WordPress consultant, and a class popped up. It was going to be in San Francisco, which was north of me, I lived about 65 miles south of San Francisco. And it was a class geared for WordPress developers.
Mm.
And it said over 100 people had signed up to attend.
Wow.
And I thought, that's where I'm going to go.
Uh-huh.
And I was telling my wife, and she says, well, you're not a developer. How are you going to meet someone? And I says, well, you're going to help me. She says, what? You're going to help me. She loved to work with paper. I says, I want you to create a little sign, and I'm going to wear it around my neck when I walk in the room. And
Mm.
here it is, Rahul. Can you read it?
Wow.
You see that?
Yeah, yeah, loud and clear. So,
Okay.
so for our audio podcast holder, the sign that Richard is sharing, it says "Help Seeking WordPress Consultant."
And
This is the
so,
sign he wore in that meetup group of
yeah.
100 WordPress developers.
So I got there, I put it around my neck. I walked in the room. The eyes turned to me almost
Uh-huh.
immediately. People
Wow.
started smiling and pointing and going, oh my gosh. And Raul, within minutes, I had a stack of cards like this.
Wow.
Here's my card, here's my card, here's my
Mhm.
card. They loved it. And so, but what I'm saying is that once again, it's the imagination. Let me try this, see if it worked. It worked beautifully. So I coach, what people to take them outside of the box, so to speak. And
Mhm.
sometimes, we're all hesitant to try certain things. But my question is, look, even if it doesn't work, are you going to get hurt? Are you
Mhm.
going to, it's cost you financially? Is it going to cost you? Are you going to get hurt? You go, no. And what we have to understand when things don't work, it's the universe telling us, hey, wait a minute, we need to make a change here. That's all it is. And
Mhm.
because that's how we learn. We didn't
Absolutely.
fail. As long as you're doing what you love, you can fail. All you
Mhm.
can do is learn. You can't
Absolutely.
fail.
Richard, I know you work with many of your clients. What is one tip you will give to them to build their confidence? Someone who is having a lot of negativity, constant negativity in their mind. What would be your advice? How they can become positive?
Please know that what you are hearing is completely normal.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with you. Is that what you're hearing is not who you are. That is
Mm.
not who you are. That is who your brain is telling you who you are. And our brain is chaotic and nonsensical by nature. So what is our brain going to tell us? It's going to tell us we're not good enough. We're not smart enough. There's no way that we can, no one wants to work on and on. That's number one. Because without knowing that our personality has evolved and more, it's hard to get past it. But once you know what the obstacles are, hey, wait a minute, that's not me. I don't have to buy into this. Let me
Mm.
just take this one step at a time. I'm not going to get hurt. And it builds from there. But you've got to also give yourself time,
Mhm.
give yourself patience. Masterpieces take time. It's
Absolutely.
okay. There's no rush. And just take that one step and the next step. Hey,
Mhm.
become familiar with the order, stay present.
Awesome.
And that's all it is.
Yep, yep. So please know that it is not true. Whatever your mind is telling you, whatever your brain is telling you, it's not true. You need to work on it. Take one step at a time, and things will come your way. Richard, before we move to our fun rapid fire questions, I
Sure.
would want you to share with our audience how they can connect with you, how they can reach to you.
Great question. Okay, the best way is to go to my website,
Mhm.
bradyites.com, and on my website I have two videos, steps 1 and 2, that literally explains much of what I'm sharing with you right now. Not
Mhm.
only that, but you can also download the script I use that you're hearing me over the, because people sometimes want to write it down or what did he say? You can download my script. And then step two is all about the order to life. They're only like 2 or 3 minutes long. Once
Mm-hmm.
again, the script is there available to you. And step three is the purchase of my book, which you can purchase on Amazon.com. That is actually a conversation between two different people.
Mm-hmm.
And as you go through the book, all these principles and laws and rules come out. And then you have them there for as a resource. And also too, I come from the premise, Rahul, that today's psychology is an extension of yesterday's theology.
Wow. And listeners, you can visit his website, get all those freebies that he has to offer, and order his book. If you really want to change your mind to move thinking from a negative to positive, order his book. Now we're moving to the fun round, Richard. There are 5 questions coming your way. Would want you to answer without thinking too much. A quotation you live by.
Of course, masterpieces take time. I'll give you a couple of them.
Okay.
And masterpieces take time. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. You cannot
Mm.
have a negative state of mind without first being judgmental.
Wow. Wow.
Um, those
Amazing.
are some of the power ones.
Thank you for sharing. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I tell you, at my age, it's all hours. You know what I mean? As you get older, you don't. Yeah, so it's really weird. Sometimes I'll wake in the light. I'll work. It just depends. I'm quote retired, meaning I don't have to clock punch a clock so I can kind of pick my own hours. But I love teaching. I love and I'm actually getting. I want to start doing this more publicly. Is
Mm-hmm.
conducting classes which I really enjoy. And the big thing is I love having a conversation with other
Mm.
people and getting them involved because we all have the same issues.
Absolutely.
Whatever you're feeling, I'm feeling, and everybody else is
Absolutely.
feeling. And so it's like they say confession's good for but when we speak, something happens to us. It,
Correct.
it it
Correct.
makes it less, how do I say, we're less fearful, we're more confident when we start having these discussions.
Yeah. What's one leadership skill you wish someone had taught you earlier?
Life is all about supporting each other
Mm.
instead of judging each other.
Wow.
We could change the world, you and I, all the rest of us, Raul.
Mm.
We could change it right here, right now, if we did two very simple things, which is start
Wow.
supporting each other instead of judging each other.
Mm. Thank you. If your career was a Netflix series, Richard, what would be the title of season one be?
What would the title be? Yeah, that's a good one here. I don't know. Nothing's come to me. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something clever, what I mean? Something unique, something. Um,
Order of Life. How about that?
well, here's the thing is that you can do it. I just real quick here. I was in gymnastics. It has to do with support. And I was a junior. Bottom line, I was on the rings and all this stuff. And there was a senior ahead of me, and I was gaining on him. Bottom line, I that was season started, and I came on. I walked on campus, and first person I saw was my coach. Hey,
Mm.
Rich, how you doing? Hey, coach, you got a second? Yeah. What is it, coach? I think I can. His name was Bob. I think I can beat Bob. He looked at me. He says, Richard, I know you can. Oh my God. No one ever, I have parents, but I was in how do I say, we're all in a dysfunctional family. I
Mm.
didn't have that kind of support. And it has stayed with me all my life. Even when I say it now, I get a little tingle. No
Mm.
one has, and it was true. I worked hard and I did. I did. And if we could only support each other, and I tell parents, it doesn't matter, support he or she would, and they could change tomorrow. It doesn't
Mm.
matter. You still support them. You
Mm.
still support them. Do not
Absolutely.
make others wrong because they do not agree with how you think, period.
Absolutely. The final one coming your way, Richard, is your go-to food you can eat anytime, anywhere.
Food. Oh God. Food. I simply now, actually, I eat more mindfully. Food. I don't know. I like stir fry. I make my own stir fry. I like barbecuing, like small. Yeah, and I like doing simple things. And yeah, I enjoy that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our episode. As a ritual, I will share my learnings from Richard's episode. Number one was the art of life, being self aware and be free of judgment. I think the narrative that Richard shared is simply outstanding. I would encourage our listeners to review it and utilize in their day to day life. The second one is masterpiece takes time. Okay, so take your time. It's okay. We are not in a race with anyone else. You need
Yeah,
to race with your own self
yeah.
instead of racing with others. Race it with your own self. Run with your own pace. And last but not the least, life is all about supporting people, not judging people. What
Yeah.
an amazing thought process Richard has, and I'm very confident that whichever team, whichever organization that will work with Richard will see amazing movement from being negative to positive. Thank you, Richard, for being on our show. We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Have a great rest of the day ahead, and God bless.
Well, you made it. Thank you, Rahul.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.